All right, I'll call to order and take a roll call on the first Public Works and Utility Committee meeting. Wednesday, March 22nd, 2023. Current time is 5:02 p.m. Roll call, please.
There we go. Trustee Moonen,
Present.
trustee Beal. Present. And member Everly,
Here.
and Dan, I'm gonna mess up your last name. Is it member Pless?
Yep, that's right.
Okay, and member, is it Miller or Mueller?
Miller,
Miller.
present.
Okay, we've got Administrator Nicholas and Clerk Capazzo Catch to record the minutes. We also have DPW Director DeStefano and Sanitary District Accountant Mike Sargent. And Engineer Don Neitzel is present on Zoom.
All right, item 2 will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll open it up to citizen comments. Anyone in the audience would like to make a comment, please step to the podium. All right. Zoom check, you said no one?
No hands raised on Zoom.
All right, nobody in the audience or on Zoom for citizen comment. Moving on to department reports. Department of Public Works, Director Joe DeStefano Jr.
All right. February 2023 monthly report. I'll just kind of go through it briefly. I think you'll have a copy, but either way, we went out for 7 winter weather events in January. We continue to have road salt stocked in the shed, which currently is empty because of the construction of the new one, and there's snow coming Saturday, so this has just been a fun little week. But anyways, staff washed plow trucks in between events, put up and took down voting equipment for the February 21st election. We had the vent pipe in the bathrooms at the highway department. It's cast, so cast just has issues over time, just like anything I'm sure you may have experienced maybe in your own personal homes and whatnot. So anyways, we had to replace that with PVC, so they cut the wall open. Turned into a decent little project, but took care of that all in house, so that was nice. We cleaned snow away from basin grates ahead of rain events in February, which we had rain and more than snow almost, was kind of odd. Cleaned up down trees on Dubnica Drive and then continued an extensive tree removal project on the far east end of Plainview Road. Parks Division helped out during the 7 winter weather events. They groomed the cross country trails when we were able. Been kind of a mild year for snow. They shut down and summarized the season, the ice rink. Got that all ready for the summer festivals in there for parking and whatnot. They shut down or worked on the facility maintenance project to maximize storage in the shop. Over the years, Mike's just been, changing it up a little bit, making it more user-friendly for himself and workbenches and whatnot. He attended the WPRA conference in Wisconsin Dells, and they also attended a virtual UW Waukesha. It's a virtual grounds and landscape maintenance class that they did on the Wednesdays in February. So they took part in that. I also plowed during the 7 winter weather events. I attended the president of the Waukesha County Public Works Association. So I put on the February 1st Waukesha County Public Works Association meeting at the Ingleside Hotel, and it was kind of a neat meeting. We had Sam Couple from CBS 58 there. So she's a meteorologist, if you're unaware, but she came and spoke to our group. So that was a pretty neat little deal. And the bid openings we had for the roads, the salt shed maintenance, this is all going back a little bit, obviously, in the beginning of February. Attended the first village board meeting on February 13th. Was subpoenaed to a circuit court trial for a weight limit ticket. That was at Waukesha County Courthouse on February 27th. We installed a weather station on Hillside and Micah. Pretty neat little deal, something where I can monitor road temps right from my phone. at anywhere, rather than I have a unit on the pickup truck, which is nice, but if you're not in the truck and I want to do something, quick check, I have access now to that, which is, so far, it's been working out very nice. And then I continue to take care of all the invoices, right away, capital project prep and whatnot, and we got capital projects going on right now in 23, and continue to work with the guys as I can, but that's becoming less and less as I'm just getting busier and busier with other things, but all in all, a good month. So with that, any questions? Otherwise, I'm sure we want to keep this meeting rolling.
Yeah, two things. Can you explain what your role is? Since we're in a committee here, can you explain what your role is on that?
Sure. So Public Works Director, I would say in the field position partially. It has slowly, I'd say, evolved from what I used to call a 50-50 position, 50% with the guys, another 50% in my office. For whatever reason, just a lot of things going on. We're growing. There's a lot more construction. I'd say it's more to 75-25, maybe 80-20, even, where I'm in the office more and not out as much. I do plow though every event. I'm the first one in checking roads and getting the guys in. That is my position. So, during a snow event, whether it's Monday during the day or Saturday at midnight, I'm here. That is one of my things that I think builds a team very well, where I'm the first one in and the last one out generally. The guys, I think, appreciate that, and I think they would respect anything. And if I ask them to do anything, they do it for me because they know I would do it for them. And it's just a good team building deal there. But otherwise, yeah, just busy with the capital projects and, the right of way permits, and we're looking at new driveways and this, that, and the other thing. And just, prepping. I've been going out looking at roads for summer list, between crack filling, mastic work, shouldering, striping the roads. Obviously some of that we farm out, but getting that list together and prepping all that. And, I'll throw a truck on the hoist, change the oil, do that, and as much as I can. But like I said, those hours are getting thinner and thinner. Just been very busy. So that's about that. I don't know. Should I miss something? No, we can hit it now and be done with it. I don't think we had it on there. So we're lifting our seasonal weight limits on Monday, March 27th here at 7 a.m. And the closure of Highway Q and Hillside Road will coincide with that for the roundabout project. That is a Washington County project. And we do have some involvement in it, but minimal, other than the phone calls we'll receive because the cars are going through the subdivisions that we don't want them to and all that. That's going to come up here in the next couple of weeks. But I went to the PIM meeting yesterday, and probably 20 residents there, maybe. Actually very good feedback. I think everybody is now aware that there's going to be a roundabout there and not worried about fighting that anymore, and now just asking questions about other things. So it was a pretty fruitful conversation, and that went well. So Washington County is willing to help if we get a lot of traffic issues within some of those subdivisions in that area. They're willing to add barricades and stuff, and obviously we'll work with the sheriff's department as needed if we need to. So but otherwise, yeah. And then going back to other duties, we have the compost site we take care of on Plainview Road, which is, it's a big project, and stuff like that. We're grinding there next week. So all these little things we're just coordinating and keeping chugging along. And then, like when they throw a snow event in on Saturday, when you're trying to switch gears, but that's part of the job. So
When is brush pickup?
April 17th, Monday, tentative, but as of right now, I would say we're on pace to be able to start, no problem.
Mr. Chairman? Yes. I have a couple questions. When are they gonna start on the salt shed?
So tomorrow, tentatively, the current shed will be starting to be dismantled. We emptied it on Monday and Tuesday, so it's no salt. And then tentatively, the construction company that won the bid is April 24th, that last week in April, to come in, start staging up the lumber and start, excavating footings, all that good stuff. So
When are they starting Hillside and Q?
Monday,
Oh,
it's
they
getting closed, and they're gonna start right away. So
are. Okay.
they're hoping they get a good jump on and the weather cooperates, and it's a 2 to 3 month closure.
Is that being run by the county or the state?
County job, DOT funded 90% of it through a safety grant, whatever, I don't know all the
Okay.
numbers letters, but
Washington.
yes, sorry, did I say Washington? Apologies. But Washington County is running the job,
Okay.
but it was funded primarily by a DOT grant.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir.
I have a
All right.
quick question.
Yes.
What about the parks? Isn't that part of our department?
Yeah, I mean, I oversee that, but
You
like,
haven't said that, so maybe.
You're right.
I'd like to know.
so I am the public works director, but we have Mike Lund out there and he oversees that. I take care of his bills and, yelling at him when he's spending money or not. And, if he wants capital stuff, like he hands me the list I just gave Kathy to work on for capital, and I have to give him a little phone call and say, are you joking? I can try to get you some of these things, but some we have to, kick the can down the road. I've learned a lot over the years and I've worked with this board for years, so we've, I think, grown to know each other pretty well. And I know what to expect, so it's like, I know what to come with and hope we can get and maybe try to get a little extra, but. So I work with him and say, what do you need? What do you want? Where can we move things down the road? And then I can bring that to you guys. But, I have Scott Appley on my end, so he's the highway department foreman, supervisor, and then Mike Lund is the parks foreman supervisor. So those two guys oversee everything. I just help out where I can and take care of all the office stuff.
And I'm sorry, who's in the, at the highway department under you?
Scott Appley, you've probably seen him around at maybe
I probably have.
Christmas party stuff, but I don't know how.
Okay.
I actually do plan on, we have somebody that's going to, in our department, kind of mold into the utility, district here. So he'll be at a meeting randomly. I'm gonna bring Scott at a meeting to introduce. And as we're talking more capital items, going forward, where I want you guys to see these guys. And they're, I can remember a lot of the things I want to tell you, but it's nice once in a while to rely on somebody else that I'm not gonna remember, or he's using the equipment, he can maybe explain better why it's a necessity or a want.
Anyone else have anything for the department, Public Works?
Nothing.
All right. Moving on, Utility District, Mr. Mike Sargent. Are you appearing with the Don or separate? Separate. Separate, okay.
Yep. Don is
Mr.
on
Mike
Zoom.
Sargent will be at the podium.
All right, so the utility district carries with it the responsibility to bill up the various people. And we have approximately 445 fixed rate residential clients or customers and about 15 commercial customers. The residential customers are billed $150 a quarter. It's billed in advance and at the beginning of each quarter. The commercial customers are mostly on a pass-through basis, whatever the usage that's registered by Sussex Utility is reported to us, and we turn around and we pass a bill on to the customer for what Sussex billed us. And then we also add an administrative charge and a charge for the use of the land and interceptor for those people that are utilizing the land and interceptor. Overall, the financial position of the utility is pretty good. In the reports that you have, there's a cover sheet to the financials, and it shows that the unrestricted funds within the district are $519,000 at the end of February, and the restricted funds are $439,000. The restricted funds are for replacement of equipment and renewal of the service. We currently accrue or depreciate the service piping at $6,000 a month, and we continue to increase the reserve for restricted at also $6,000 a month. It's compared during the annual audit with what the requirements of the DNR are for the restricted funds, and we want to make sure we stay compliant with that. The district is planning, or the budget for the district is basically break even on the operations, and they have a tax levy of approximately $50,000 to cover the administrative costs. So the goal of the utility board, when it was the sanitary district, was to operate at break even and maintain the cash position that we have, so that we can go forward and eventually be able to replace the district. The accounting people, we also, in addition to doing the billing for the utility, we take care of paying the vendors. We have approximately 9 to 10 vendors every month. The bills will range from $23,000 to $50,000 every month, depending on the amount of maintenance work that is being done. So in the month of February, it was a little higher because we had expediters do a televising of the system, and I'm sure Don will report the results of the televising that was done. Overall, the district is in good financial shape. the audit for 2022 is wrapping up with Baker Tilly and should probably be finished by this time next month.
And we are about done. We're done. She got the final payment, Wendy did, didn't she?
Who's that?
Wendy for the
Oh,
audit.
This is only the second payment. Their annual fee is approximately $11,500. I think we paid them $6,000 so far.
Thank you. And just while we're on the Baker Tilly thing, I'll just interject. Baker Tilly's been asked to present to the committee once they have the audit done. So we'll hear a final round out of how that incorporates into the committee.
They have, excuse me, they have in the past reported to the board on an annual basis, and it would be Wendy Unger, who's the lead auditor.
Has Baker Tilly historically done the audits?
Yes,
Okay. Second question is, who does the rate work? Do you do that or does?
as far as setting the rates,
Right.
We make a recommendation or have been historically made recommendations to the board where the rates should be set.
Your firm does that.
That's me,
Okay, that's fine. I understand.
right?
That's the only questions I have.
Thank you. Anyone else have questions for Mr. Sargent?
Can you clarify, you had made a comment about $50,000 in property tax collection?
Yeah, well, the sanitary district had a tax levy ability, and they had historically levied $50,000 a year, mainly to cover the administrative costs of the sanitary district.
And I understand that goes away now that we're a village. Is that still correct?
Well, the sanitary district doesn't exist, so that tax levy ability goes away, so that whatever mill rate that the village has, they can do what they want. But
So you're proposing making up for that at some point, that loss of the $50,000?
well, if you look at it every year when we come to the budget, it would be set in the rates. Right now, the rate has been $150 a quarter for 3 years. We did have a period back where we had a significant problem with infiltration and a bad meter, where we were going through cash like it was crazy, and we had to raise the rates for fear that we would find ourselves in an illiquid position. Once we resolved the issue with Sussex on the bad meter and we took care of the infiltration, we went back to realize that we didn't have to have that high rate. We lowered the rate back to 150. And the rate at 150 right now is pretty good. Sussex raises its rate to us for processing per 1,000 gallons on a regular basis. And, you know, we're going to have to, the utility will have to adjust its rates as Sussex raises the processing rate.
Sure.
How long have you been associated with what was the sanitary district?
6 years.
Okay. Fine. I just want to find out where the history of this whole thing is.
And he's very good.
Sure he is.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, sir. All right, let's go to Don. Don, can you hear us?
Yep, you guys hear me fine?
You're all good.
Okay. Thank you. Good evening. My name's Don Neitzel, Kunkel Engineering Group. We were sanitary district engineer, basically handling, I guess, day-to-day maintenance issues with the sanitary district, some administrative issues. You know, as Mike brought up, televising, getting televising quotes, setting up that program, working with the contractors, issues with the lift stations, coordination with Sussex with the lift stations. So kind of the day-to-day aspects of the sanitary district, we kind of handled. And with that, we would give monthly engineering reports to the district for what happened the previous month. And that's kind of what you have in your packet before you today to start for this first utility meeting. I think as we move forward, we can structure this however you guys see fit, but I thought we'd start with what the district had seen in the past. So with that, starting with my report, the first thing I had were the flows for February. These are the flows that are 4 lift stations. And there's a chart in your packet there. So the flows at the Janine lift station, the Plainview lift station, the Willow Spring lift station, and then Richmond School. As you'll note in my report, I mean, the flows at Janine and Plainview look pretty good for the month of February, with the exception of the 27th. There was a rain event then, and I mean, the flows did go up quite a bit. And going through the end of February and then into March, it does appear they're coming back down to what would be expected in spring. The flows at Willow Springs stayed pretty consistent. However, we did have an issue there last month that remained with the telemetry system, so we weren't getting reports of flows sent back to Sussex. That got resolved by LW Allen on February 16th. And then Richmond School Lift Station, those flows again look pretty normal, with the only exception being the 27th of February during that rain event. They again went up quite a bit and then came back right back down in the next 24 hours. There's a little bit more with Richmond School I'll talk in the next section. So I guess with that, is there any questions on the flows for the month?
Can you explain the brief thing you talked about LW Allen?
Yep. LW Allen is a consultant for Sussex, or a contractor for Sussex that handles maintenance on the lift stations for pumps. Their SCADA or telemetry, the reporting process. So the lift station communicates back to the wastewater plant. The SCADA lets them know that the lift station's operating, or is it operating at a high level or low level? It reports the flows back to the wastewater plant. So that system at Willow Springs went down. So essentially it's like a radio. Went down, and LW Allen, that contractor, came back out and got that repaired. So it's now communicating back with the wastewater plant at Sussex.
Any other committee members have questions?
Yeah. How many lift stations what was the sanitary district have? That are owned by the sanitary district?
4.
And then who maintains those? And where does the SCADA just go to the village of Sussex, or is there somebody local that maintains them?
The flow information is sent to the village of Sussex at their wastewater plant, and then the village of Sussex emails me reports every week, and then they'll give me a final a report for the month at the end of each month, and that's what I'll put in your packet.
If there's a pump that goes down, who knows that, or who is notified of that?
Typically Sussex will get an alarm on that right away.
Then who dispatches somebody to that pump station?
Most of the time it's us. So like with Richmond School, normally we'll get an alarm out there, and the school will be the first one to notify us. So my first year working for the district, we had an issue with that pump station, with a pump going down over Labor Day weekend, and we coordinated with a septic hauler to be able to pump the station. We coordinated with a contractor to come in, get another pump in there. We brought the quotes to the district for a new pump. So we take care and coordinate all of that.
Thank you. Any other questions from the committee?
Okay, then moving on in a report, Richmond School Lift Station. At that lift station, we have had some pumping issues, more in regards to the force main. It's a very long force main. We had Sabo Mechanical that was going to come out and take some of the cleanouts apart and do a visual inspection of the force main to see if it's needs to be cleaned, or if the pipes got a reduced diameter due to crud in there. When they took a few cleanouts apart, they noted a lot of air in the line, which is not good, and high sulfur odor. So what we're thinking is we're getting air trapped in the line. So their recommendation is an additional air relief valve. Air relief valve lets air out of the line as it's pumping. They quoted, I got that in my report there, 2 different valves. Something to think about. I mean, we can put it on the agenda for next month and discuss it. I mean, right now the station's operating the way, fine right now, but it could be more efficient pumping. And then another issue at the lift station is during wet weather events, we get a very high flow rate coming from the school. In the past, we had their lateral televised from the lift station to the building. Didn't see any issues, but there's still a high flow of water that'll come from that lateral. So I've talked with Ed Blake, the ground superintendent for the school, about having the sewer under the school televised by the school. And that's something he was going to look into with the school board, but he did admit that they had some iffy pipes there in the school that could be contributing to that. But I do know, I think that was last summer, we had a rain event where that lift station, it was topped out with both pumps on it, could barely keep up, and it was all coming out of their lateral. So whether it's downspouts that are somehow accidentally hooked to the sewer or a busted pipe under the school, there's an issue there that's bringing a lot of clear water through their lateral.
Are you aware that immediately east of the school building, there's a spring on
No,
that property that the school bought about 15, 20 years ago?
no,
You should look into that because there's a long storied history with Richmond School that I'm aware of for a number of reasons. I would be very surprised if there isn't a whole lot of stuff going into that lateral. At
Okay.
one time, when that pump station was first installed in school, the administrator at that time, because they were having odor problems where it discharges in Sussex, told the students every time they used the bathroom to leave the faucets running in the sinks. That was just the start of the problems. There's a lot of issues with that building as being as old as it is and what was done as far as maintenance over the years. I'm very confident that there is a massive II problem in that building.
okay,
Chairman?
Yes, Kathy?
We can place the school on our next agenda and then we can go into more depth on that if you so choose.
Thank you.
okay. No other questions on Richmond School. Business Park East. We are currently under contract to construct Leeds Lane, which will run from Town Line Road up to Main Street. The contractor for that, Butine Peterson, they actually were out on site today. There's 2 hydrants that they have to get installed on the existing water main that's out there. So we can flush and get safe water samples on the existing water main that's in there. Once safe water samples are obtained, the water laterals and sewer laterals will be installed for the 1, 2, 3, 4 lots that are out there on that commercial half of the site. So they're thinking over the course of the next probably week, they'll get that work done. It's weather dependent, and it's also dependent on safe water samples coming back on that water main. They can't finish the water laterals until safe water samples are obtained. But they did start work today. They got one of the hydrants installed. And there's, as part of that, with Sussex supplying the water for that site, we are coordinating with Sussex in terms of the safe water samples and the work that's going on. So aside from that, the road for that project, that is supposed to be installed. I think their completion date is like mid-June to have the work associated with that done. Any questions on Business Park East?
How are they billed for that water? And by whom?
The users billed for the
Yeah.
water. Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, right now they're billed off of their water meter usage, and that's on the industrial side right now.
But by who sends them the bill? You do? So Sussex bills the village and you. Do we in fact have a water utility or not?
It's just a utility. We just have a utility.
Okay.
Don, Sussex
Yep.
bills water, correct?
If you're gonna speak, you gotta come back up to the podium.
Don, isn't the arrangement Sussex bills them directly for the water and then we bill them for the
You
sewage?
bill for the sewer, correct? Correct. Until such time the village would have a water utility.
Moving on.
Okay, then the last item I got is the sanitary sewer televising. Every year, the sanitary district televised a section of their sanitary sewer system. So this year we had a section on. There's a map and a report I can get to you so you can see the areas that we did, but we did a sizable area. That was done by the expediters. They did that work between February 27th and March 9th. On top of the areas that we did, We Energies did some work in the area of Cherry Hill last year, and they put a gas main through one of our sewer mains. We got that repaired. It was the district's wish to have the areas where We Energies did that work, have that televised. So we added that to the contract with the expediters. I got a map out of We Energies. We televised that. I just got the report today. I haven't had a chance to look at that. But going back to our original contract that they televised, they came across 9 manholes that were found to be leaking. 7 of those manholes were leaking more in the barrel section, the concrete section of the manhole. And then the other 2 were leaking up more in the chimney seals or up around, the casting up towards the road. So I have a quote from the expediters to grout the 7 manholes that are leaking around the barrels. And then also another quote to take care of more of the chimney area just below the casting. So we can put those on for next month for discussion and action. The one thing with the grouting of the barrel sections of the manholes, they do like to do them under wet conditions so they can visually see where the leaks are when they're doing that work. So with that, I have the reports here. I believe I owe Joe a copy yet for his records. And then as I said, they just dropped off the copies today for the We Energy sites that they did. So Joe, you'll get a copy of that as well.
Was We Energies billed for that work?
They were not at this time. When the sanitary district originally brought this up to me, I reached out to We Energies and their contractor that did the work. I believe if I remember it, I got a response from them that said, they wouldn't pay for it or they weren't interested in it. I brought that up to sanitary district. They wanted for this year to have that work done anyways. And I believe, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, I thought we talked about some changes being made, the permits to where televising would have to be done for contractors doing that work in our, in the areas of our sewer. I thought that's what we discussed.
Was it located for that contractor?
Yes. Yep. I mean, it's located, but again, they don't know the depths exactly to sewer. I mean, they can pop manholes and get an approximate depth, but this one, they shot right through it.
What was the bill to repair?
I don't have that in front of me. My guess is a couple $1,000.
Kathy, can we put that on for item 6 to discuss that next time?
Will do.
Yeah, Don, if you could send Bill over to Kathy and myself, and we'll put it on for next committee meeting.
The bill to televise or,
The bill for repair.
okay. Yeah, that was paid a while ago, but yeah, I can look that up on Mike and we can get that to Kathy.
Any other questions on the sanitary televising? All right, Don, is there any more in your report?
That's it unless anybody else has any questions.
Questions from the committee?
Just at some point, if I could see a system map, that would be
Yeah.
useful.
Sure, I will,
The
I'll make
same
that,
thing.
I'll get that in as part of the packets for next month.
Thank you.
If you could get me, because of my advanced years, a full size, like a 2x3 or something, as opposed to an 8.5 by 11. So I can see where things are. I like to see one of the sanitary sewer system and also of the water system.
Okay,
Just send them to the town or the village hall and I'll pick them up there if you would, please. Or drop them off or whatever.
okay. Does everybody want full size or is 11 by 17 is good or
If you're doing it, I would take one.
full size?
Yes, please.
Is, I guess why don't we do this? Is it electronic right now?
Yes,
Why don't we just do the 2 requests for the committee members, and then also 2, why don't we just post one at Village Hall along with our other district maps?
I wouldn't
Okay.
mind doing that, just to update it again. Okay?
okay.
All right, any other questions for the utility district report? Hearing none, we'll move on to new business. 5A, discussion and necessary action regarding request for new garage doors for DPW maintenance buildings and recommendation to the village board of same. Joe DeStefano.
All right, this is for, we had $50,000 total between parks and highway to replace the remaining doors. There's 3 at the parks maintenance building and 3 remaining on the highway department building. So obviously to get the best bang for a buck, just had the same contractor go out and quote them both at the same time. So in front of you, I think the first packet group was the highway department doors and the second grouping was the parks department doors. Wildy's Lake Country garage door, a Lisbon resident, I will just say, he came in with the best pricing and I recommend that we go with him. He's done our previous doors at the highway department and he's done maintenance for us on our doors. He's a great guy, does good work, and I don't think the pricing is too shabby either. So with that, I'll just open it up to questions. Yep,
Why does it say sign proposal when it's the doors?
9, you mean on the quote?
And the recommendation, sign
Oh.
proposal with while.
Well, just all of them have something where you're supposed to just sign and email it back, you know, if we give them the green light to go with it.
I'm thinking of sign, I'm going, what?
Oh, no, signed, like signature signed
Okay,
proposal,
gotcha.
yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So this will keep it under the 50,000. We combine the both and keep it under budget by, you know, roughly $3,000.
Are you looking for a motion?
I will take one.
Chairman, I'll move for the award to Wildy's for the Public Works facilities for the garage doors as presented by the Public Works Director.
At the price of
29834.
Not to exceed.
motion's been made. Anyone second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Beal. Any discussion on the floor? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none opposed. Motion carries 5-0.
Are you looking at, what are you looking at right now? Just curious. Is that the garage doors for the parks or are you on the
Yeah, because there's-
HVAC?
there's
Right,
two- Yeah,
okay.
they're 2 separate items.
Yep, just make, it was, I don't think we have like I don't know. It kind of, I made it to go under 1, but under A, we only, it states DPW. Are we still able to just
Well,
do the
Mr.
parks
Chairman.
under that? Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I'll make a motion for 5B for the replacement of 3 garage doors and the 2 openers by Wildy's for the Parks Department doors in an amount not to exceed 18,787.
Motion made. Anyone second?
My second.
Motion seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, 5-0, passes. 5C, discussion and necessary action on the request to change the speed limit on Hillside Road. Oh.
Skip them.
Sorry. Discussion and necessary action, we're on 5B. On the
We
request,
just did 5B.
No.
You were on the right one.
HVAC.
yep. Just to clarify the last two, there was
Oh,
2 motions made inside of 5A.
Yes.
They were both 5-0. One was for the DPW building and the other one was for the park building.
Yes.
And now we are moving on to 5B, which is the discussion necessary action on the request for park maintenance building, HVAC upgrades and recommendation to the village board of same. Joe DeStefano.
All right, there is a window unit in the parks maintenance building. This is in the offices, not for the shop, just the office area. A 30-year-old furnace and just a window unit for AC. So we quoted out to replace the furnace, add the coil, put a condensing unit outside to have central air. The ducting is okay, so they would tie into the existing ducting. We had budgeted $12,000 in the 2023 capital for this project. As you can see, the quotes came in decent. Interstate, Braun, Gross, and Dave Draycamp. We recommend going with Interstate. They have done some work in the past in the town/village, and they're in Sussex nearby, so we recommend going with Interstate.
May I ask how big this office is, the office area?
Snowballing it, I'd say it's probably 20 by 20 roughly square, and you have a bathroom, Mike's office, a little lunchroom, and a kitchen that's kind of blended together.
Why, is it traditionally they always pay more for commercial than residential? Is there something more involved in it when they have to do that for commercial?
Well, keep in mind, there is no AC in this building yet, so you're putting the condensing unit, running the electric outside and all that. Whereas I think if you're just replacing it, everything's there already, you're just replacing. Maybe that was why this came up. I mean, it is, it's a residential furnace in essence, because it's not a big area it's covering. I guess I don't know
Mhm.
the exact reason for that.
Okay.
I have a question. Unless you're done.
Yeah, what brand are you putting in there?
This is Concord series, which is, if I remember right, it might be a division of Carrier, I believe. It's one of their sub brands.
Yeah.
We bounced it off a few other contractors and they are very happy with it. And I believe it comes with a 10-year warranty. So, we were happy with that.
Mhm. Okay, thank you.
I have a question. You mentioned in there that Interstate's got a 2-stage model, but on their proposal, they both say
Oh.
single stage.
Yeah, believe me, that was, the part number is the 2-stage, but written is single stage. So I had to call him because Sprung's part numbers.
But you resolve that.
Yes, it is a 2-stage. It's all
I have no more questions.
apples to apples. Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, believe me, I had to call Mike and I'm like, okay, this don't make sense. The part number is this, but yet it said this, and
Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
we figured it all out.
I believe it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions? I'd be looking for a motion on 5B. I'll make a motion to approve the contract not to exceed $8,198 of the interstate heating as presented.
A second.
Motion made by myself, seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed? Hearing none, 5-0. Right, item 5C, discussion and necessary action on the request to change the speed limit on Hillside Road and recommendation to the village board itself. Joe DeStefano.
Some of this was brought to the town board as of last year, as we knew this was going to be requested from Washington County. I think we were all okay with it. We were just bringing it out of this committee because this is kind of going to be the process going forward. So 1,000 feet prior to the roundabout at Highway Q, which is obviously hasn't even got put in yet, but we'll start next week. They were asked to do a reduction of speed to 35 miles an hour, simply stating we're putting up a post with a 35-mile-an-hour sign, roughly where that red arrow is on that little drawing, which is near the Bark River on Hillside. So it'll be 45 miles an hour to 35. And what that did for them was it kept the roundabout footprint smaller, because if they left the speed at 45, they needed to do different medians and stretch it out longer to make, you know, before you enter the roundabout. Because they want, like, if you go to 164 where it's 55 right into the roundabout, but you see how long, you know, the medians are. This was a way to reduce all that. If you could reduce the speed limit, Richfield was on board, we were on board. You know, once we got the green light here and the road will close, I'll work on getting it located. We'll install that sign and install a 35-mile-an-hour sign, and pretty much simple.
Joe, if you could just, the trucks won't have any trouble going through this if it's a little smaller, will they? The gravel trucks?
No, they built it for the trucks. It was a question brought up last night at that meeting, and they're, you know, I have to, whatever, respect their comments, but Washington County is very happy with the design of it and knows it'll be big enough to accommodate a truck, you know, not so much making the right-hand turn, because that's kind of easy. It's the one that's gonna make, you know, the left-hand turn and go west on Q, where the trailer would drag, you know, onto the, but you know, they put the mountable medians in there so the trailer can pop up on the middle. And yep, they're very happy with the way it was designed for truck traffic.
Lanes going around?
Single
or
lane.
Just one,
Just single lane.
single lane. Okay,
Yep.
I can understand that. Thank you.
Yep, no problem.
Is the project gonna provide this signage and install it?
He is willing to help us out with that. It wasn't the original quote, so original emails from Scott Schmidt at Waukesha, so yeah.
Because it should be a project
Yeah.
cost, not.
If I tell him I need a post, a receiver and a sign, he'd say, come pick it up, so we can do that, more than happy.
Just so you know, the board knows that they originally approached us to help pay for it.
Mhm.
And we said no.
And just one real quick thing, we do have in chapter 42 of our ordinances, the list of all our roads and our speed limits. So obviously, once this is all done, we'll have to bring that probably an update. I'd assume they get voted on just under Hillside Road, which already has a 25-mile-an-hour section on the far south end. Then you have a 35-mile-an-hour and then a 45. We'll now have to add that short 35-mile-an-hour on the far north end, but minor stuff. So with that, I guess we can take a motion to approve the reduction of speed 1,000 feet prior. If you want.
Is there a motion? Brian?
I'll make the motion.
All right, motion made. And any second?
I'm second.
Seconded by trustee Deal. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, 5-0. 5D, discussion necessary action on a request temporary lift weight limit on Hillside Road between Highway Q and Good Hope during the time Highway Q is closed for road work.
This was brought up at that same meeting. We discussed the speed limit, and the board approved the lifting of the weight limits on Hillside Road temporarily for this closure. It will be a little change of pace, obviously, seeing that kind of truck traffic now coming down Hillside Road that we've been accustomed to not seeing. But I don't know the year offhand. It was before I started here, which is now almost 10 years. But Hillside Road was open to truck traffic at some point, and then that was closed off, and it pushed all those trucks to go from Lafarge to Highway Q. So I tried working with them. They go to North Road, and there were just no easy answers. So brought it to the board to go back to that, and Chairman Osterman, you know, knowing the history of Hillside Road and trucking, and Mark and Linda, you guys kind of remembered it all. I think nobody really made a big deal of letting this happen. So the plan will be come Monday. I'm gonna actually print a sign off, have it laminated and put on the scale house. They just now technology trucks that come off the scale at Lafarge you don't get out anymore. You roll up to a printer that's elevated and it's right by your window, right? And they just pull the ticket and they keep driving. So on that sign, I already talked to them, we're gonna laminate a bright colored piece of paper that says the route we want them to use. Because basically I emailed the sheriff's department today stating, maybe the first week or two, we can give a little, warning. But after that, if they start finding trucks meandering down Plainview Road, North Lisbon Road, etc., and they don't have a destination within the village, cite them, because the route is simple. You turn left and you go to Good Hope and you turn right to 164. It'll be very simple. They're well aware of it. We're gonna have no trucking signs at our main crossroads from, Lafarge all the way to Good Hope. So I'll say idiot proof kind of it, but we'll see what happens. So that's the plan for Friday.
We also talked about how
Madam Chair.
we don't want.
I will have
Maybe a
one.
sign
Oh,
right
yeah.
there.
You betcha. That's one on the list.
And it's already posted. to be-
Correct. All those intersections are already posted, no through trucking 6 ton, but temporarily we are gonna be adding the little sign with the truck and the circle and the X through it, just to be more of a eye catcher.
I have seen.
Cause maybe if English isn't the first language, they can at least look at it dry.
Mhm.
So, yeah, so should go good, but, I don't know if that really,
Chairman,
Yes,
we are, we'll have a letter in the mail to all the residents between Q and Good Hope to give them notice on why they're gonna start seeing trucks driving past their houses now, just to give them a heads up to try to slow down the amount of calls that both Joe and the office will be taking.
thank you.
over the last couple of weeks, I bumped into a couple of residents, actually talked to one the day off Hillside, and the word must be getting out somewhere, so that's good, because it wasn't a shock when I said, they kind of already told me, we'll be ready for the truck, okay.
What's
And-
the completion date for that project?
Final,
October? or
no. Substantial completion is July 15th. They hope it's done in June. But that, basically what he said last night, that was meaning no rain days, right? The weather starts to cooperate next week, blah, blah, blah. So you get a couple rain days, but their penalty date, is July 15th. So
Okay.
hopefully we see it done and open in June sometime.
The quality of the construction of the road on Hillside, is that a lot less than what's on Q?
Well, I mean, that's the same road that transported all those trucks before,
Oh, I
it was closed. So
But usually
I
they
think
go
it's-
down, Q anyway.
yeah, I hear
Yeah.
you. I mean, it's not
Moving
gonna do great for it, but it also had all those trucks on it many years ago, so I think it'll hold up just fine. If this was, a nasty winter where we had a heavy freeze and now the road's thawed out, and the timing of this would be pretty bummer, because you'd be looking at when everything was thawing and the base is so moist that this could do, but our winter was pretty mild, thank goodness for that reason, and I think we'll be fine,
I know we talked a little bit about 164, 164 over there, they could go, but that's so much farther west for them. to
Yeah, and
go.
they're just, the Plainview and 164 intersection for loaded trucks, the access is not good.
Yep.
So it's just the easiest, unfortunately.
Okay.
All right, looking for a motion to temporarily lift the weight limit along Hillside Road from Highway Q to Good Hope.
I recommend that.
Trustee Beal made the motion. Any second? I'll second. Motion made and second. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? None opposed. Motion carries 5-0. All right. We are on 5E, discussion and necessary action on the proposed maintenance contract from Joe DeBellick Plumbing for annual grinder pump maintenance, and recommendation to the village board is same. Joe DeStefano.
So I will just say that this whole formerly known as the sanitary district, now utility district, that slowly will fall into our lap is gonna be a learning curve for me. I'm not even gonna lie to
All
you.
of us.
This is not something, I'm a highway guy, I run equipment, and I can take care of the roads and the right of ways, no issue. But I have training lined up for one of my guys that actually, his dad, which is kind of a unique situation, worked for DeBellick. Did a ton of work in Lisbon, so he actually knows a lot about it. He retired, but he's got that phone a friend, which is kind of unique.
Mhm.
He will be going to for the E1 pumps next Wednesday. He's going up to a training just to learn about the grinder pumps a little bit. We got some confined space training next Friday for a couple guys, just little stuff we're starting to get the guys in on, but that's just tickling the surface. I mean, this is gonna be new to me as we get calls, and, you know, I'll probably have to reach out to Mike when he's fully retired and done and ask questions, and Linda and anybody else that had the knowledge, but, that was just a little to preface this little deal, but just so you guys are aware where I'm at with this, it's a learning curve for me, but we have no issue tackling it and giving it a shot. So that being said, and Linda, maybe Mike, you could talk a little bit on this grinder pump maintenance, or Don. It sounds like this has obviously been done annually for umpteen years, I believe, and the cost was $355 per unit. They go to those residents, which were, I don't know if this list, I don't think this was on the packet, but there was just a list of the residents, and they had 32 grinder pumps that I had that they sent over, they would check. So the grand total was $11,360. Now that's about all I know on it. I assume this was done every year for a similar cost. Okay.
So these are individual grinder pumps in each residence?
Yes,
The
these are the
sanitary
only
district?
homes that have grinder pumps due to obviously the fact that they need to push it up rather than gravity it down.
But these are the responsibility of the sewer utility?
Well, this would be an area where I'm a little bit green on. Yeah,
That is unusual.
I agree. I
Um,
agree.
I'll invite Mr. Sargent back and he can probably give a historical on it.
There's a little history here, but when the sewer mains were put in, there was an effort to get as many people hooked up as possible. There was a number, there was a magic number they had to make the project go. And there are a lot of houses where the basement is actually below the grade of the sanitary pipe because of bedrock issues of taking the pipe deeper. So to make it sweeter, the people who were required to have their own lift station were said that the lift stations would be owned by the sanitary district and the sanitary district would maintain them. And those people are grandfathered in. There are still properties along these mains that are undeveloped with sewer that could need to have grinder pumps. And the sanitary district, before it was disbanded, changed the sanitary code that any new grinder pumps will be the responsibility of the homeowner, not the district. So these are 32 or 34 grandfathered grinder pumps that have an average life of 10 to 12 years. And the cost to replace them is anywhere from $4,000 to $8,000.
But does the ordinance now say that when these pumps poop out, that they're going to be replaced by the sewer utility
Yes, that's the way it was
forever and ever?
forever. It's a perpetuity. The sanitary district 3 years ago made an effort to change that. And there was a number of citizens that showed up at sanitary district meetings to voice their displeasure with that idea. And in conference with the at the time town chairman, it was decided we were going to continue the perpetuity of maintaining these pumps.
Does that change if the property changes hands, if it's sold?
It's basically the sanitary district owns that lift station in these people's yard. So they own the pipe between their house and the lift station and between the lift station and the sanitary district border. But the sanitary district owns those pipes. It's part of our asset group.
And I have to be really honest, I voted against it. I think, you know, it's in their home. They should be responsible for it and for maintaining it. But
I guess before, I'll just remind us to stay on topic. We are talking about the plumbing for grinder pump maintenance, so
Right.
if we do need to take it outside that, we'll have to put it on. a
I think
different
it should be put on next time so we can fully explain it so the board understands it.
But the maintenance is an annual inspection, which includes a measure of the usage of power so that they can predict if there's going to be, avoid having a failure. It costs us a lot more to replace those pumps on an emergency call than it would on a planned maintenance basis. So there's an effort for this annual inspection as a way to try to minimize the emergency calls.
Does this price of $355 per pump, is that plus parts and labor, or is that, what does that include?
for the way I read it, and maybe we could just table this till next meeting and I'll confirm a few things, but from the way I read it, it is just for the inspection, and if it's something serious, that's above and beyond the price.
Right, I mean, just trying to define the parameters.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have any problem
Doing it.
paying for somebody for something, but I'd like to know what the heck it is. It's like $355 to fix my truck. What does that include and what does it not include? So everybody understands before you have the bill.
Yeah, I do see on the sheet, 1 through 8 there under the following periodic system checks will be performed. I'm assuming where they end. And then further down, if I remember reading something, you're at the bottom, where it says fee schedule. So you have labor per hour, where I'm guessing that would be obviously all above and beyond if they found something.
Yeah.
But I can confirm this a little bit more and shore it up
I
and
mean,
bring it back.
it's for the protection of the village as well as the contractors, so everybody knows when you get the bill, what the heck it's for.
No, I
I mean,
understand.
I've installed literally thousands of these things. They can run a heck of a lot more than $355. If it's a matter of just going there, checking the pump and the floats, and that's it. This price is fair and reasonable.
Sure.
But if it includes, they need something else, E1's a good pump, but they need something else done, just so we know what the heck it is.
Okay, I can do that. I
That
think that's
would be
fine.
my
I'd rather learn a
concern.
little bit myself too, so.
I think, isn't it, they're just checking it, they're just, just what you mentioned before, I believe, Joe.
I don't know, but it
Yeah,
doesn't
it's
say
just
that.
preventative, it says preventative maintenance.
Yeah,
And then at 1 through 8 is what they do. And that preventative maintenance costs $355 a pump. That's what it's covering. Anything above that is, if they find any problems, then that starts something, an additional cost for hours and parts.
Yeah, question.
Is this something that you have to coordinate with the property owner, or is that part of the DeBellic responsibility to coordinate with the property owner?
That is a great question.
Because that could take a lot of time.
I'm assuming they dealt with the property owner, DeBellic, everybody has DeBellic as their go-to. We're not even their go-to because of,
The relationship.
yes, over the years. But I'm not gonna talk.
DeBellic has an individual that does this work and he maintains a relationship with these owners.
Okay.
They know him, so if an alarm goes off, they know what to do. So DeBellic coordinates this. It's done by a person on their work schedule, and it's not a requirement of this day to go out and do it. It's when they have time, and then they try to hit a whole neighborhood at one time.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Joe? Yeah, I guess. Just before we would entertain any kind of motion, are we fine with this contract or do we want clarification before we take action on it?
I would say, are you comfortable in reviewing the bills based upon what you see in front of you?
I have worked with them before. I'm comfortable with the company. I think Linda and Michael can attest to the fact that they've been great for the sanitary district for many years, but. So and I can also say, here's the deal, this is basically signed on the fact that, and if they all of a sudden throw me a little curveball, I just bring it back and say, okay, we didn't sign it because this is what I was told. But if they tell me what we said, they will go through it, check it, run the 1 through 8, if we feel confident that they're doing what we want them to do, we just run with it. If I hear something that's a little fishy, then we could bring it back.
From what I understand, and from being on the sewer district for so long, DeBellic is the only one that really has given us a bid on this. We can't seem to get anybody else out there to do it. I would like to see competition for the contract, but no avail.
Something we can work on going forward.
There's something about reliability of service too, so if they.
Right. Motion?
I don't have any problem with the way that it's presented. If you have a problem, I suspect you'll come back and ask or clarify it at that time. So that being the case, I would,
Right. And in clarification purposes, we are at a recommendation to the board, so
Sure.
if something changes between now and then, we can update that with the board.
And Mike, you work for two with this billing and all this contracts. You're okay with everything too?
I'll make a motion to approve the contract with Joe DeBellick Plumbing for the 2023 grinder pump maintenance at a price per pump not to exceed $355. Motion made,
Second.
seconded by Miller. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor, say aye. Aye. And opposed? Motion carries 5-0. 5F, discuss the necessary action on the request for a sewer service agreement and public hearing for the property located at N71 W22339 Good Hope Road, LSBT 0237.980. Who wants first, Don or Kathy? Kathy, can you introduce it?
So this property owner has come to the sanitary district a year or so ago. We have now gotten our ducks in a row to get it through the sewer pack. So we are ready to move forward on this amendment.
We have anything in our packet on this?
Yeah, it was
No.
No.
So, so the property that's in question, there's a boundary there's a boundary that's with sewer pack in terms of what the sanitary district can serve. This property on Good Hope Road sits just outside of that boundary. So the boundary for the district or prior district needs to be amended to incorporate this property. And that's what this process is doing. The person currently has a private septic system that's failing. She requested service. And the district at that time had agreed to pursue this amendment with sewer pack.
So Sussex is on board as well. And we also, as a town, gave them the go-ahead sewer pack. So they went through their first meeting. It got through their first meeting. Now, once we do the amendment, then it goes through their final meeting and it'll be changed then.
I'll make a motion to approve.
motion made by committee member Miller. And any second?
I'll second.
Seconded by trustee Beal. Any discussion?
I think this lady has been waiting 2 or 3 years, the poor thing. She has to have her, just to give background, she has to have her whole in her septic check emptied every month. So she's really in bind and she needs this now yesterday. So thank you.
All right, motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Item 6, items for next public works utility agenda. Kathy would just give us a list of what you
So
have.
I've got Richmond School Station, Willow Springs, map of the utility district, review of the televising, a quote for the expediters, a discussion for the change in the contract to require televising and the We Energies damage bill.
I don't have anything.
And then grinder pump discussion.
Do you wanna add the driveway? I mean,
Let's
can I just add stuff?
go ahead.
You don't, I mean, you don't need to make it in the meeting. You can.
Just throw
You
it
can
on?
throw it.
I didn't know how nuts you guys
Yeah.
wanted to get for this, so just throw it on another day.
Yep, and then, you guys will see. This is part of the packet. technically?
Yes.
Okay. We put together a timeline, of what the committee is gonna take as far as business. So, just look at those dates there and, the first one is starting March 27th. All right, I'll be looking for, there's no motion on that, so we'll be moving on to adjournment.
I make a motion, we have our next meeting on April 19th. 5 p.m.
26th, April 26th.
Yeah.
Oh, am I wrong here?
Same night as the plan commission.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. You're right, the 26th. Okay. I make a motion to adjourn.
Motion's been made by trustee Beal,
Second.
seconded, and all in favor? Or
Aye.
Discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, 5-0.
At
This will
6:12.
conclude the Public Works and Utility Committee meeting on Wednesday, March 22nd at 6:12 PM. We made it on time.